Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadandikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapata Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Rirupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Sya Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी मोकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्ध प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्नां अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं जयदं सुरदोर्पङ्गोर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पादाम्बुजो राधा मदन मोहनो परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षि अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहितावतार अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, sloka number 3. Okay. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। जीवेश्वरी माता जी।
निकमकल्पतरोर्गलितफलं शुकमुखाद्रामृतद्रव संयुतं पिबद भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरमः रसिका भुवि भावुका।
Vivek Prabhu, translation please.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already released for all, including liberated soul.
Very bold. O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It's emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So, Vyasadeva is telling, O expert and thoughtful man. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for expert and thoughtful man, Paramahamsas, pure devotees, not for ordinary man, not those who are interested in material sense gratification. They cannot relish this. This can be relished only by expert and thoughtful men who are Paramahamsas, who can take the essence out of, even neglectful things. If Paramahamsas means the Hans, it takes only milk when it is mixed with water. When the milk is mixed with water, the Hans, the swan can take only milk, extract only milk from that. Similarly, the thoughtful man, the expert man, the devotees, or the Paramahamsa, the devotees of the Lord, can take only the essence, the good from all the Vedic literatures. So this is the sweetest, the mature fruit of that Vedic literature. Okay, so there are Vedic literatures meant for the people in the mode of goodness, the people in the mode of passion, people in the mode of ignorance. Okay, so these Vedic literatures, the Amala Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is meant for people in the mode of pure goodness, Paramahamsas, Shuddha Bhaktas. Of course, we are not in the mode of pure goodness. At least we are trying to go to that state. So anyone who wants to understand and go dive in the depth of this, wisdom text should be at least in the mode of goodness. Such people can only understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance will not be able to understand or relish this. So at least one has to transcend the mode of ignorance and passion and come to the mode of goodness to understand. And slowly and gradually, by purifying all our anarthas, cleansing all our anarthas, purifying ourselves, we can go to the mode of Shuddha Tattva, Shuddha Sattvic state. So this is spoken especially by Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami, actually, he is actually the parrot of Srimati Radharani. We know that when the parrot bites a mango, ripe mango, it is the sweetest mango that it bites. It tastes. That parrot knows very well which is the very, very sweetest mango. So here, this Sukadeva Goswami has tasted the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it can be relished by the Paramahamsas. It is very sweet. It is very juicy. That's why it is said that it emanated from the lips of Sri Shuka Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Why? Because it is the sweetest. It is touched by the beak of the parrot called Shuka. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So including liberated souls can relish this because this is tasted by Shukadeva Goswami. So let's see what is there in the purport. In the two previous slokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic literatures due to its transcendental qualities. Because this is the essence of all the Puranas, all the Vedic literatures. Srila Vyasadeva has compiled the Vedas. Okay, it is very difficult for common people like us to understand. So he has then compiled Vedanta Sutra. Okay, and that is also very difficult. So very easy to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is the essence of even the Vedanta Sutra. For us, even Vedanta Sutra, Srimad Bhagavatam is all difficult because it's all in Sanskrit. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he has translated this word-to-word meaning, the slokas, and the translation and the purport in detail. So it is easy for us to understand the essence of all the Vedic literature simply by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, which he has made very, very relishable for us. Easy to understand. In that way, he has translated this Srimad Bhagavatam in a very easy to understand language. Those who cannot understand Sanskrit, it is available although Srila Prabhupada has translated this in English, now it is available in almost all the languages. You name it, it is available. So it is easy for those who cannot even understand Sanskrit language. So any language, take it any regional languages, India, and any foreign language also, it is there available. So it is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. It is not discussing about the mundane activities of the material world. It is subject matters related to Lord Sri Krishna, the spiritual subject matters, and his pure devotees. So, discussing the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna and his pure devotees, the soul gets so much of bliss, ananda. When we get a very delicious food, our senses are satisfied. But when we hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we adore and worship as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, okay, our soul gets relish, our soul gets satisfaction, bliss. So this is that Vedic literature, the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. It is a cream of Vedanta Sutra is a cream of all the Vedas, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of that cream also. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential, because we cannot read this as how we read it like novel and other stories. This has to be scrutinizingly studied. This is what Prabhupada says. Okay, and so definitely it should be submissive hearing. We should be patient enough to study this literature, not just read like a novel. With great respect and attention, one should receive this message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should respect this. We should not treat this just like any other mundane literature. This is Vani of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should give due respect to this literature. There is no difference between Bhagavat and Bhagavatam. Bhagavat is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Bhagavan, and Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of that Bhagavan. And there is book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat. Person Bhagavat is the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Book Bhagavat is none other than the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna. So the Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things known by man. So whatever is required to be known, it is there in the Vedas. Okay, even the Karma Kanda portion is also there. How we can have a good, material life in this world, that is also given. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. Okay, so Vedas deals with dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Karma Kanda is there, Jnana Kanda is there, Upasana Kanda is there, pure bhakti is there, everything is there. So even those who are interested to live a very good human life, material life, the Vedas can be referred and accepted. The Vedas contain regulatory principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter. And all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. So all these department subject matters are there. It deals with social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical. What else is required? Everything is there in the Vedas. And plus spiritual subject matters which can be used or which can be studied for our spiritual realization. Regulative knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to spiritual platform. So by studying the Vedas, one can gradually and slowly rise himself to the spiritual platform. And the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that The personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes and or rasas. So that is the highest spiritual knowledge. That Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all the tastes, rasas. We know there are 5 primary rasas: Shanta rasa, Dasi rasa, Sakhi rasa, Vasilya rasa, and Madhurya rasa. So every living entity, beginning from Brahma, the firstborn living entity, within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perceptions. The sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. So, okay, these are all called melos, rasas. Now, there are 12 rasas, 5 primary rasas, and 7 secondary rasas. So, that's what is being given here. In the revealed scriptures, following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated: Raudra, that's anger; Adbhuta, wonder; Shringara, conjugal love; Hasya, comedy; and Veera, chivalry; Daya, mercy; Dasya, servitorship; Sakhya, fraternity; Bhayanaka, horror; Vibhasa, shock; Shanta, neutrality; Vasalya, parent. So these are the 12 rasas. Okay. But out of these 12 rasas, 5 are primary and other 7 are secondary. So the sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. So what is the sum total of rasas called? Affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Okay, so these are the primary rasas. That's adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Adoration means in Shanta. This only we appreciate. Okay, we adore that, we appreciate that. We don't only lip service, but we don't do any service. Only saying that, oh, I like that person, but I don't serve. Now he's a great personality, but I don't serve. But here in service, the second dasya, not only we adore, we serve that person also whom we adore. Then in Sakhya, there's a equality with that person with whom we have friendship. And the next is parental affection, Vasalya Bhava, above Sakhya. And above Vasalya Bhava is Madhurya, that is conjugal love. And when these 5 are absent, love is present indirectly. So when these 5 rasas or melos are absent, the love is visible or exhibited indirectly in the other 7 rasas. They are called anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. So you got it. How Prabhupada explains very wonderfully. So when a man is in love with a woman, that rasa is called conjugal love, madhurya rasa. But when there is some disturbance in that loving relationship, it is exhibited either in anger or in wonder or in shock or in horror also. See? The same love, when it is no more in the conjugal mode, in the loving relationship or madhurya rasa, it turns into anger, shock, horror, and so on and so forth. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between 2 persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. So this love is now being exhibited in horror. Such rasas are displayed between man and man and between animal and animal. So these are exhibited between man and man and animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or rasa between man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living. See, this rasas cannot be exhibited between man and animal or between man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. Okay? This rasas is exchanged with members of the same species. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. So this exchange of rasas, the loving exchange between the soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, fully exhibited in spiritual existence only, not in material existence. Okay, now we are in the material world. We have material aspirations, material desires. So we may exhibit these rasas, but not these are all not spiritual rasas, because there is some agenda, there are some expectations in the material world. So for that matter, we may have developed some friendship, okay, with some people, or we may develop some sort of conjugal love with some people, but there are expectations. So it is not in its pure form. In the material world, all these rasas are contaminated with expectations. But in the spiritual world, these rasas are pure in nature. So this is what Prabhupada says in the purport. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described as the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. So if you really want to be happy in the material world also, it is possible. How? When we develop the natural love towards the Supreme Lord. Okay. All other relationships are temporary. We will not get an eternal happiness. Only when we develop love with the Supreme Lord, we'll get eternal happiness. So far, any questions or any comments? Yes. No comments or no question? Vivek Prabhu?
Prabhuji, we are, I mean, it's very story, we are understanding.
Okay.
So,
No problem.
so the thing is that many questions come, but we are trying to understand. But story, we are understanding.
No problem. Okay, fine. You want me to explain more, or this is okay?
Maybe we can go a little to story so that we can get more. I mean, rasa from
Okay,
this.
sure.
Yeah.
So I'll continue from here.
Yes, Prabhuji.
These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of God. See, every living being has a particular relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. Okay, for example, Vivek Prabhu, as a husband, there's a particular relation with your wife. And as a father, you have a particular type of relationship with the children. And as a friend, you have a particular relation with the, your colleagues or your other partners. Okay. And as a master, you have a particular relationship with your juniors. Isn't it? So similarly, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead also, we have different types of relationship. Just like how in the material world, we do have different ways of relationship with different types of people, like husband, wife, children, parents, and friends, like that. We don't have the same type of relationship, isn't it? Similarly, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead also, Some may relate in Shantarasa, some may relate in Dasya, some may relate in Sakya, some may relate in Vasalya, and some may relate in conjugal love. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here, now it's said that in the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. So if you want to have this, rasas in its completeness, in full, it can be enjoyed, it can be relished only when we are a spiritually liberated soul. It can be understood or it can be relished and it can be enjoyed only on a spiritual platform. In the material platform, there are limitations. It is tinged with the three modes, with expectations. So it is not in its pure form. So only a spiritually realized person can relish this in 100%. Is it clear?
Yes, so the primary rasa means what? Primary rasa means what?
Primary rasas are these 5 rasas,
Okay.
Shanta rasa,
Okay.
Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vasalya rasa, and conjugal. That is Madhurya rasa. Okay. Secondary rasas are Rudra, Vibhasa, Bhayanaka, Hasya, like that. Okay. 7. Right. So when the primary rasas are not exhibited, example Prabhupada has given very nice example. Okay, just like loving relationship between man and woman. Okay, there is some disturbance in the loving relationship between husband and wife. What happens? Anger comes. Okay, and there is dispute, and there will be horror. Isn't it? Horror means they may even kill that person.
Yeah.
It's happening right now. There are many examples here in this material world nowadays is happening. So it's all started with love, but when there is expectation, when one cannot satisfy the expectation of the other person, the primary rasa is no more, then the secondary rasa takes place. For example, in this relationship, husband and wife relationship, when that dispute is there, disturbance is there, it may even end up not only in fighting, but it may end up even in killing the other one person. So these are secondary rasa. These are not advisable. These are not desired. These are not recommended. But it is there. It is there. It's also a mellow. But it's not favorable for us, for our spiritual advancement. Okay, is it clear now?
Yeah, this speed is okay, Prabhuji, because so you can understand.
Yeah.
We go to that, maybe I will not. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasa, which are reflected in the material world. So in the material world, all these rasas are there, but as I told you, it is not in its pure form. These are exhibited in its pure form in the spiritual world. When there is love means it's a pure love. But in the material world, when the same love comes, it becomes, the same love is perverted as lust. Why? Because it is not pure. There are expectations. In our relationship, whether it is husband and wife, parents and children, or among friendship, there are expectations. And if the expectations are not met, then that particular rasa turns into lust or anger or horror, like that.
Other seven rasas will come.
Okay, so that's what it is said here. So original rasas which are reflected in the material world, the false representations. It is not the true representation. So in the material world, the false representations of the rasas are exhibited. Love is lust. Love is transformed as lust in the material world because it's not pure. Expectations. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he decides to become one with the Supreme. So, the initial stage, people, because of lack of knowledge, they want to become one with the Supreme. Okay, that is not the complete understanding. That's not the real understanding. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole without knowing of the different dasas. So, what is lacking in this? Becoming one with the Supreme, you are losing your individuality, and there is no service. When there is no service, you cannot enjoy the rasas like dasya rasa, sakya rasa, vatsala rasa, and madhurya rasa. Only when there is seva, there is service, you will relish. For example, you are not mingling with anyone, not wife, not friends, okay, not parents, not your children. So what? How you can enjoy? How you can relate? No, there is no way. Only when you relate with these people, and depending upon what relationship you have, you can enjoy different dasas. Got it?
Yes. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme.
Yeah. In the beginning, in the sense, those who are advancing in the spiritual life. So the first understanding is that the Lord is Nirakara Brahman. The Lord is impersonal. Okay. So they want to live, that is Jnanis. They want to live their body and merge in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where they, supposedly losing their individuality and merging with the Supreme Brahman effulgence, but they don't actually lose. They may have to stay there for millions and millions of years or lifetimes, but then one day they will develop the desire to serve, to be active. They are in that, they are inactive. The soul is by nature active. It cannot become inactive. It cannot stay inactive. Even though they may desire impersonal Brahman realization and impersonal liberation, they cannot stay there forever. That's why Prabhupada says, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole. So there are less intelligent people. So little advanced, when they advance from Karmaganda to Jnanaganda to Bhakti, then they know service is better. They want to serve. When you serve your near and dear, when you serve your wife or husband or children or parents or friends, you relish more than sitting idle, isn't it? When you are in a room, sitting alone, nobody to talk, will you be happy?
No problem.
Yeah. At the same time, your loved ones are there, your children are there, your husband is there, or wife is there, or friends are there. You can relate to, you can talk to them, you can discuss various matters. How much happiness there will be, how much you can relish. So this is exactly like that. The jnanis, okay, they go to that place where they cannot interact with anybody. They are in passive state, not in active state. So they don't enjoy, how the devotee enjoys. The devotee enjoy because their devotee are in association with their loved ones, either in Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsala Rasa, or Madhurya Rasa. So does it make any sense?
Yes, probably. But Prabhuji, is it really possible to be, becoming one with the Supreme?
Yeah. So what happens if you want to become one with the Supreme? It is not possible because we are all eternal, first of all. You may stay there for some time, sometime means in the cosmic time scale, millions of lifetime you can stay there. But then at some point of time, you will develop a taste for service, then you will have to come down again. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam says. So all the jnanis, their destination is Brahman. But then they will have to, sooner or later, they will have to come to this material world, get the association of devotees, become bhaktas, then go back home, back to God in the spiritual world.
Okay.
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 So in this sloka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can relish all this. We can relish all this. Why? Due to its being the ripened fruit of the Vedic literature, Vedic knowledge. See, fruit, it is in its raw form, I mean the kacha. So take a mango. You say whether it is a tender mango or an unripe mango or ripe mango. It's all mango only. But that taste differs, isn't it? Whether it's a green mango or a ripe mango. We say it is mango in general, but the ripe mango is different than the green mango. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened mango, which is full of juice. One can relish it than anything else. By submissively hearing this transcendent literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. So, by submissively hearing, and as I told you earlier, we should not read this just like a novel, just like any other mundane literature. This is the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. So this is, Vyasadeva says it is Pibada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Pibada means drink. Drink through your ears. Usually we drink through our mouth, but this can be, taken, relished through our ears. We can drink this through our ears by listening. So that much nectar it is. And it is the essence of all the transcendental Vedic literature. One can attain the full pleasure of his heart desire, and our hearts will get full satisfaction. And we want to hear more and more, again and again. We don't get satiated also. We get satisfaction and we don't get satiated because we want to hear again and again. Unlike in the material world, when whatever we like, by the passing of time, our interest, the taste in it reduces. Isn't it? Now, if I give an example, you like gulab jam. Okay? I'll give 1, you'll eat 2, you'll eat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you'll say, Bas, Baba, bas. Enough. I cannot eat anymore. So your interest to eat gulab jam decreases or increases?
Decreasing.
Decreases. Isn't it? You like gulab jam, but the more you eat, the less you like it. Isn't it? Because you cannot take it anymore. Like that. But this Vedic literature, the more you read, the more you want to relish. The more you relish, the more you want to read. The mundane literature, you take a novel, you take a story book, you will read once, twice, thrice, not beyond that. You go to a movie, the movie that you like the most. How many times will you see? 5 times, 10 times, 20 times? Not beyond that. You'll get fed up. But Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we have been reading at least for the last 5,000 years. Okay? Generation after generation, people have been reading the same thing, same book. Do we get bored? No. Each time we read, we realize newer and newer things, newer and newer realizations. Okay. So, submissive hearing should be there. Submissive hearing. That's why Prabhupada says you should scrutinizingly study these books. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. So there is a warning, okay, given here. We should hear from the right source. Otherwise, you'll be perplexed, you'll be misdirected. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. Why? It is coming down to all of us through the parampara, authentic parampara, Guru Sishya parampara. It was brought by Narada Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Srila Vyasadeva. Okay, so Narada Muni bought it from the spiritual world and he gave it to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva gave it to Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami gave it to Siddha Goswami. Like that, in a bona fide disciplic succession, we have got this Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is coming from the right source. So that is, we have to always see whatever we are reading, whatever we are hearing, whether it is coming from the right source. Is it authentic? We have to see that. It was, the later, in turn, delivered the message to his son, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, and Srila Shukadeva Goswami delivered the message to Maharaja Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. So we all know the story. Parikshit Maharaj got a 7 days notice of death. So he wanted to spend his last few days in a very effective manner that is beneficial for his soul. So he approached many sages. Finally, he met Shukadeva Goswami, who enlightened him with Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Shukadeva Goswami is a realized soul. So in the assembly where Shukadeva Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, even his own father, Vyasadeva, who is also a guru, and Vyasadeva's guru, Narada Muni, so Shukadeva Goswami's Param Guru, was also present. So Shukadeva Goswami is not an ordinary personality. He is a realized soul, it's a liberated soul, and he is the right person from whom we should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. He stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years. He came out. He did not undergo even the samskaras. Usually, when the baby is born, there are certain samskaras we are supposed to do. There are there are 16 samskaras. As soon as the baby is born, there are certain Jataka karma, ear piercing, Annaprasna, Upanayana, and the Vivaha ceremony, okay, Garbhadana ceremony. All these are samskaras. There are 16 samskaras, and at last Andyeshti. So, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, after he was born, he did not have to go through any samskara because he was already liberated. Samskaras are meant for people who are not liberated, who gradually and slowly rise to that liberated position. So he was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified. Okay, what is it says? That Janmana Jayade Shudra. Okay. By birth, everybody is born like a Shudra. So we have by Janmana Jayade Shudra, Samskarat Bhavets Dvija. By purificatory process, one will become Dvija, second born, twice born, Brahmana by Upanayana Samskara. So, Janmana Jayade Shudra, by birth everybody is Shudra. Samskarat Bhaved Dvija, by Samskara one will become twice born. Veda Padnat Bhavet Vipra, by studying Vedas one will become learned, Pandita. Okay. Brahma Janadi Idi Brahmana. By knowing Brahma, he'll become a Brahmana. So here, Shukadeva Goswami did not have to undergo all these things because he was by birth he was a liberated soul. That's what Prabhupada says in this purport. At birth, no one is qualified, neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Shukadeva Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo an evolutionary process for spiritual realization. So the Veda Padna starts actually after one is twice born, after the Upanayana Samskara. That is the usual practice. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person, seated in the transcendental position above the three modes, material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. As I told you, this is attracted by the Paramahamsas. This is meant for Paramahamsas than the ordinary people like us. He is of necessity, not impersonal, because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with a person. So, impersonally, we cannot have rasa. This is possible only with a person. We cannot have this loving relationship, okay, whether it is conjugal, parental, friendly, or servitorship. We cannot have this relationship without a person. Can we have? So nobody is there. Whom can you love? Who can you make friendship? Who can you make your son or servant or master in the what do you call it, impersonal Brahman, in the void? There's nobody. So how can you exhibit this relationship or rasas or melos when there is no second person? So if you want to have or relish this rasas, there should be another person. So impersonalists, how they can enjoy this? They cannot enjoy because they want to merge in the impersonal Brahman. They want to lose their identity. They want to be in the passive state, not in active state. There is no service, so they cannot relish. So you got it? So is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. You have told Prabhuji Janmeti, that sloka, can you tell
Okay,
Prabhuji
okay.
once more?
Yeah.
Janmana.
Janmana Jayade Shudra. By birth, we are all Shudras. By birth, whether you take birth in a Brahmana family, Kshatriya family, Vaishya family, Shudra family, any family for that matter, Janmana Jayade Shudra. By birth, we are all Shudra. By Upanayana, by Samskara, we become twice born Brahmana. Now, Brahmana means twice born. Yeah, Brahmana only. Okay. But that is only a beginning. And Veda Padanat Bhavet Vipra. By studying Vedas, you become scholarly, you become a learned person. Vipra is learned person, Pandita. And Brahma Janadi Idi Brahmana. By knowing the Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth, you will become Brahman. And above Brahmana is Vaishnava. Like that. Is it clear?
So Janmana Jayate Shudra.
Janmana Jayate Shudra. Samskarat Bhavet Dvija. Samskara Bhavet Dvija. Veda Padanat Bhavet Vipra.
Veda
Veda Pathanat. Veda
Patana,
Patana.
okay.
Ah. Studying the Vedas. Veda Patnat Bhaved Vipra.
Bhaved Vipra, okay.
Bhaved Vipra. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana.
Mhm.
So we'll stop here. Next week we'll start from this particular. Where is it? Mark just now. Where we stopped?
Starting with Brahma, Prabhu.
In this loga?
In this sloka.
This sloka, yeah.
Okay. Let me mark it. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay, 1 second.
In this sloka.
This one we have read. This one we have read.
This also we read, Prabhu.
This one only we have read.
Oh, in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
In the Srimad Bhagavad.
Ah, yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll stop here. Hare Krishna.